Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast. This is your escape for real, unscripted conversations about sports, hobbies, life, and storytelling. No scripts, no forced takes, just Man Cave talk. Now, here's your host, Dan Kasper.
Hello, Brandon. What are you doing with that thinking man pose?
I was just trying to crack you up.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to see your reaction the first time you looked up after the ad read to just look over in my general direction. So
gotcha. All right, I'm a pro.
You passed. You passed the flying colors.
Let's talk some Brewers, shall we? As we are nearly you almost get nailed in the face with the mic.
I wasn't expecting the mic to be able to move up that quick.
We're almost a week into spring training already. Brewers off to a little bit, if you care about wins and losses when it comes to spring training, they're off to a little bit of a slow start, but now they've put together some nice wins. I want to lead off talking about Tyler Black because he's been, I think, having a good start to spring training yesterday. Again, another solid outing. Do you think there is a chance Tyler Black can make this roster ahead of Jake Bauers?
There's a chance, but I think we've seen the last few years that the Brewers value Jake Bauers.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who on this show here has talked about how I thought like they could probably upgrade from him.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at his last year, I can't really poke holes in it. Like he was kind of what you're looking for in that spot of a guy that's, the backup first baseman, especially once Andrew Vaughn kind of established himself. Someone that can play a corner outfield spot. It's not ideal, but he can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously there's things they like there. He brings some power from the left side. But if Tyler Black is to have a scorching hot spring training, I think it's something you have to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though you can option Tyler Black down to AAA, like if you have one of your young guys kind of showing out like that, you might just have to give him the opportunity.
Right.
Like that, and I honestly, the bat matters, but I think the thing that's going to matter too is defense.
Yeah. Because
Jake Bauer is a much more experienced first baseman. Keep in mind, Tyler Black in the minors, in kind of the lower levels, he did play some third base. He played some second base. Not really a spot he's probably going to be able to lock down, at the major league level, especially given the kind of the high grading curve that the Brewers seem to put on defense.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he's mostly going to be probably a first baseman, and then
he's been getting work in the outfield.
Yeah, in the outfield,
too.
corner outfielder.
Yeah.
I mean, he's much faster than Jake Bauers. I mean, that's the thing with Tyler Black is he's kind of a unique package for a first primary guy that's going to play a lot of first base.
Mm-hmm.
And that when you think of first base, think power. Like that's slugging. That's pretty much what every team's first baseman you look for out of them is. Okay, is this person going to be able to hit extra base hits, be able to hit the ball in the ballpark? And Tyler Black, he's been doing that in spring training. Like, he's generally not that. I mean, he's been more of like a 15 home run guy in the minors. But I think at the end of the day, you're just looking for people that are productive.
Mm-hmm.
And, a guy that's very fast, certainly that fits in with what the Brewers want to do as far as being aggressive on the bases. He's very patient. I think maybe a few years into kind of getting a taste of the majors, maybe he's starting to kind of develop the difference between being patient and being passive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always a big thing with hitters. But yeah, I think he can do it, but he's going to have to just keep going. Like, it's not going to be able to make it based off of a hot first or second week.
Mm-hmm.
It's something he's going to have to do for pretty much the next month and really put the pressure on the team to basically break camp and say, hey, we can't afford to not have this guy with us when we open the season a little less than a month from now.
I feel like Tyler Black has been that guy that we've talked about, just kind of waiting in the wings for the last few years. Every year, it feels like there's always that guy every couple of years or such, right? And yeah, I know some people brought him up as a possible third base when they traded, but like you mentioned, he's been getting a lot, and I think you've even mentioned it before. He's better suited.
He's
maybe
he's not a third baseman. Like, he's played it in the minors, but he's not a third baseman.
Right.
Like, he's not good enough, especially when we see what the Brewers want out of their their defensive players. Like, they don't really have they pride themselves on being strong defensively, especially in the infield. So that's just and I think the fact that you're not even seeing them play there in spring kind of tells you what they think.
Yeah. the other part that we've seen a little bit of power here too, since we're just kind of talking about those infielders, is Brock Wilken. We've seen a little bit. He's massive compared to everybody else on that. But I think you've also mentioned too, is he better suited for first at that major league level if he does crack that, do you think?
I think he's a guy that would get a shot at third base.
Okay.
Like, because, he's a big dude. Like, you think of, like, the big burly third baseman. I think of a guy like a Troy Glaus. Back in the day with the Angels, where he was a massive dude, but he could play third base. He hit for power. Like, that's Brock Wilken. And, I think he'll get the chance at third base first, like, as far as to play there.
Yeah.
Think of other guys. Luke Adams is kind of in a similar boat where it's like, okay, he could play third, he could play first, but like they're going to give him a chance to play third too. So, and that's, I think kind of the fun thing about early on in spring training is, seeing so many of these younger players, like, and that's why, Luis Rendifo really is kind of almost like a bridge to next year.
Yeah.
I know that there's an option, his contract, stuff like that. I mean,
it's a fairly cheap option too.
I'm kind of curious, like, what it would take to kind of get to that point.
Yeah.
Because the mutual option thing, I mean, like, they're almost never picked up.
Right.
But you're right. Like, we're seeing these guys that were, maybe playing Double-A last year, barring something crazy happening, you'll probably see those guys I mentioned, Adams and Wilken, playing at Triple-A this year. Which, when you're at Triple-A, obviously you're only a call away.
Right. So
I think that's kind of the exciting thing about this is, with so many of these great infielders the Brewers have, it's one thing to be excited when it's like, okay, they're a high A ball. They're playing with the Timber Rattlers. Or even, when they first get to Double-A, it's like, okay, but you're still a little bit away. Like, it's like Christmas when, it's one thing when it's like December 1st or December 6th and you see maybe a present or two under the tree, but when it's like December 23rd, you're like, okay, we're close.
Yeah.
Like, we're really close. Like, obviously, Jesus Made, kind of seeing what he's been able to do early on in spring training. It's like, he'll probably start the year at Double-A. And it's like, okay, those guys are, a year from now, it could be a much different conversation.
Well, you mentioned Jesus, and that's actually who I was going to bring up next. He's been playing a lot at seconds in spring training so far and such. And I know we had talked about him earlier on. Is he better suited for shortstop, second, and such? But, and I was talking about it yesterday or such. It's hard not to get excited about that potential future infield when you think about throw in Bryce Turang, you throw in a Jesus Mate, you throw in a Jet Williams and such. I mean, if that is the middle and left side of that infield.
If there's a Luke Adams, if there's a Blake Burke, who was a first base, Andrew Fisher, like, all of these guys are players within the next few years that we could see.
Right.
And, it's the thing I've kind of been thinking about a lot, just in terms of baseball, like, and I guess it certainly accounts with the Brewers, like, it's interesting because I don't know what baseball is going to look like in a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not even so much of like is there a strike, is there not? A lockout, is there or not? But how does roster construction look? Because we don't know what potential changes there could be.
True.
Could there be a spot where, if there is a little bit more in the way of revenue sharing, but also, a salary floor, which I'm all in favor for. I mean, but like, is there a spot where you have all of these young guys, you have these great young guys with the Brewers, but yet maybe they still are provided a little bit more ammo to maybe do something, like make a big move. I don't know what that would be. But it's just exciting right now because you have all of these young guys. Not all, obviously not all young players work out, but I think when you're where the Brewers are, you have to develop your young talent. That's just paramount. You have to do it. Like when we saw about a decade ago when, the post Prince Fielder to when Christian Yelich and Lorenzo Cain arrived, kind of, I don't say a lull, but obviously they just weren't as competitive as they were now. Big reason for that is that they weren't developing enough young talent. Yeah, you had certain guys that kind of got to the majors, like a Jonathan Lucroy, who was very good, but like you just didn't have the depth that you have right now, and that's what it takes.
Right. Yeah, it's. I know people don't want to kind of talk about the future and such, but it's hard not to kind of look at like, oh man, there's some intriguing options moving forward. Especially, I know we talk about a lot with pitching, but then you really look at the infielders and such.
Well,
with
I think
that too.
the thing that maybe is exciting too about all the position players is, the Brewers haven't developed as much high-level position player play as they have pitchers. I mean, we've seen Corbin Burns, we've seen Freddie Peralta, we've seen Brandon Woodruff.
Yeah,
we've seen these guys the last 7-8 years, so it's like, okay, we know they can do it, but like hitters, look, we've had Sal Frelick, we've had Bryce Turang, like there's been some, but like not. I mean, Corbin Burns won a Cy Young,
right?
Josh Hader was best reliever in the game.
Devin Williams
was best reliever in the game. Like, it's a different level. It's like it's the difference between good and great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the fact that there's an opportunity for some of these young guys to possibly fit into that great category where, I mean, look, we're seeing Bryce Turang kind of ascend there. Sal Frelick is a very solid player, like a guy you want to have on your team. But it's like
the GOAT, yeah.
But when you can maybe pair that with a guy in Jesus Mate, who this time next year could be kind of the consensus number one prospect in baseball.
Yeah.
And he's doing
and then
this.
You throw in Jackson Chourio with that too.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll talk about throughout the spring, I'm sure. But I think at this point, maybe more nationally than locally, but like it almost seems like people are just kind of dismissive of Jackson Chourio.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, okay, well we he's had 2 good years, so it's like, okay, we know he's good. Like, it's like, but he's still like 21.
Yeah.
Like, I think he turns maybe 22 in spring training, but like this is a guy that's still like he's got 2 years under his belt in the majors at a time when most guys are like hitting AA.
Yeah. Yeah, he's 21 right now. So
yeah, he's 21 right now, so I think he turns 22 a little later on in the spring. But I think he's kind of someone that's poised to maybe
March 11th. So
have the year this year that maybe people thought he was going to have last year.
Right. Which I will throw you the scenario I threw yesterday. Which one do you think is most likely to happen? Because everybody wants to talk about, like last year for Chourio, is he going to be 30-30? 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. And this kind of feeds into what Bryce Turang just did the other day with his power and how he kind of displayed that towards the end of last year. What, in your opinion, is most likely to happen if you had to pick one? You had to put some poker chips in the middle. And I'm going to throw Christian Yelich into this too. Christian Yelich getting a 20-20, 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases. Bryce Turang going to 25-25, or Jackson Chourio with a 30-30. The fact that you're paused a little bit makes me feel proud that it's actually a decent question.
It is.
Okay.
It is. I honestly think I would go with Chourio.
Oh, okay.
Because with Yelich, like, you can get to 20 stolen bases without necessarily really having him steal a lot. And, I just kind of wonder sometimes how aggressive they're going to be with him, just because obviously to kind of protect him from himself.
Because last year it looked like they were kind of protecting more with his back.
Right. So maybe they're going to be in, maybe they're going to try to, because he played, how many games did he play last?
He was over 100, yeah.
Well, he was well over 100. That's what I mean. Like, it was was it 150?
I think it was. I'll bring it up here. Because,
like, that was kind of I'd seen someone bring that number up, and that was just kind of a surprise, but like a pleasant surprise.
150 ran it
out.
Yeah,
he played 150 of 162 regular season games.
Yeah.
Like, that's
coming off of 73 the year prior.
Right. I mean, that's the most he's played, got to be since.
He had 154 in 2022.
Okay.
And 144 in 2023.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
Like, that's, for someone who, it's a bit like kind of the later career Ryan Braun thing, where it's kind of feel like, okay, there's always kind of
you're
something.
getting extra bonus stuff. It feels
but it's always kind of, but I mean, let's be real. As people who are, kind of in their age bracket, like we can kind of empathize where it's like, there's always kind of something going on.
Yeah.
with your back or your knee or something. But no, that's great. Like, but I just wonder how aggressive they're going to be on the stolen base front with him, especially if there's so many other guys in your lineup that can do it.
Right.
Turang, it would be the development of the power, which look, how many did he have last year? It was like 17, 18, something.
It was 18.
Okay.
He had like 10 in August or something.
Right. So like, if it's a little more consistent, I could see him getting up there. Chourio, to me, it just seems like, I mean, he's already gone 2020. Like, I think you can just see there's still more growth in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could see that happening, especially, for him, if he's on base a little bit more this year. Remember last year he got off to such a slow start as far as just never walking.
Right.
Like, he went the first, it's a crazy number, like 30-something, I forget how many games it was, but like he didn't walk.
Well, he struck out every at-bat opening
right,
day,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
So, like, you're on base a little bit more, and he missed the month of August with the injury. So it's like, if he stays healthy, like, I could see that. So I honestly, even though it's the highest bar to clear, I would probably go Chourio at 30-30.
Mm-hmm. How much, Bryce Turang, like, every year has just gotten exceptionally better offensively. It's kind of remarkable to see that his rookie year, because he was just struggling at the plate. And then now you're talking about, is he a power guy, for crying out loud? And it's just, what should we expect for the, like, I'm trying to keep it in check here, but it's hard not to, especially when he jacks a 425 grand slam into
right,
a
he's hitting opposite field. And, yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to be excited. Like, I mean, even if he ends up being just a 20 home run guy, like 20 home run, getting really good defense, and
from a second baseman.
From a second baseman, that's incredibly valuable. Mm-hmm. Like those are numbers you don't see out of that spot often.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, he has gotten better, and you're not far removed from having someone who's got the skill set of one of the best second basemen in the game. I mean, both offensively and defensively. He's already there defensively.
Right. And I was thinking about this yesterday or the other day, and I don't know if it's just because we're getting closer to the start of the regular season and, games are getting in here, but I'm like, okay, but really when you look at this lineup, we're talking about Turang. We're talking about Chourio. We haven't even mentioned Contreras yet. We're mentioning these guys. And then you look, the pitching, yeah, there's a lot of inexperience, but there's a lot of potential with that. How can this team not get back to the post? Like, you got the national, and I understand it from their perspective because I think a lot of them are like, okay, we want more of a for sure thing when they make their projections, when they make their picks. And I get it. The Brewers, a lot is based off potential and such.
Right.
But when you really look at it, it's like, but this could be a really exciting team with these young guys and this young talent.
Right. I mean, and if you look at the lineup, I don't think it's not outlandish to expect, Jackson Chourio to take a step forward in his third year in the majors as a 22-year-old.
Potential all-star?
Yeah. It's not unexpected to expect that William Contreras can be back to the offensive guy he was 2 years ago because he had the finger surgery.
Yeah.
Which something that, I think he even admitted bothered him at times last year. It's hard not to.
Right, especially when you're playing catcher.
Yeah. And it's not hard to expect, younger guys like a Bryce Turang or a Sal Frelick, to take a step forward. To be honest, it's not hard to expect Joey Ortiz to be any bit better than he was last year because offensive last year it wasn't there.
Yeah.
I mean, OPS below 600, like if suddenly he is approaching maybe even just 650, 700 for an OPS with the defense you get, that's valuable.
And if Mitchell just stays healthy.
That might be hard to expect.
Right.
But Yelich at this point, I mean, what you're getting there. Mm-hmm. As long as he's on the field, you're going to get, 20 to 25 home runs. You're going to get a guy that's going to be patient. One of the wild cards probably going to be an Andrew Vaughn.
Yeah.
When you get an Andrew Vaughn, because what he did down the stretch for the Brewers last year it's something he's never done in his career. But at the same time, he's a former top 3 draft pick. Wasn't exactly playing in the greatest organization. I mean,
right.
Let's call spade a spade with the White Sox. So, I mean, there's possible, additional development or just a second opportunity that's come there. Yeah, they're and
then you look at the pitching of the uniqueness of how that's been built and such.
And just the track record of the Brewers putting a pitching staff together.
Right.
I mean, the bullpen for the Brewers has been pretty well lights out for the last several. I mean, really during this entire run. Mm-hmm. The starters, we'll see how that works, but I think you're just going to have different guys kind of slotting in there throughout the year.
Right.
Because look, we can plan for it right now, but it's possible that, a guy like a Quinn Priester maybe takes a step back from what we saw last year just because. But could then a Kyle Harrison jump in or a Robert Gasser or a Logan Hender, whoever.
Yeah.
It's never a bad thing to have so many viable options to where you can kind of mix and match because, maybe someone has – it's like Tobias Harris last year Tobias Harris.
Tobias Myers.
I mean, Tobias Harris, NBA player, pitching would be very interesting, but Tobias Myers where, look, coming into 2025, he was like, okay, Freddie Peralta won. Tobias Harris might be your second best starter.
Yeah.
And, ultimately he had some struggles, but because they have, such a depth there, someone else jump in.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was looking at that thing again. I'm like, you forget Zerpa's there. You got to forget Sprout, is all there. And it's like all these.
And they've got so many lefties.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Ashby, we'll see about DL Hall.
Yeah.
You mentioned Angel Zerpa, Jared Koenig, who's someone that, we've seen that, Pat Murphy really depends upon in that, 7th, 8th inning time frame.
Right.
You've got them. You've got, Rob Zastryzny, who has done well when he's been called upon, but he might kind of be an odd man out here. We'll see. Because generally teams aren't going to keep 4 or 5 lefties in the bullpen. That's just too many because you just don't have that many left-handed hitters.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I'm getting more and more excited for this upcoming season because of all that stuff. It's just it's hard not to, I think. And I just saw, was it one of the John Boy media guys had the Brewers as the second best team in all of Major League Baseball behind the Dodgers. So, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, and I'm kind of interested because at some point here pretty quick, Yahoo's going through their it's basically their list of like teams, ranking teams with the most talent. I think it's ages 26 and under.
Okay.
And they haven't done the top 5 yet. And I think there's 3 NL Central teams that are in that mix.
Oh, boy.
I think it's the Brewers, I think it's the Reds, and the Pirates are among the teams. And they don't say who, they just kind of go through it. But I'm kind of curious to see where they stack up.
Because who's that Pirates hitter that's just raking now
I
in spring training?
Yeah,
but,
young guy.
Like 19-year-old or something, just tattooing it. So
So we'll see.
Yeah.